Hi. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yay!
Yay.
My doctor, my friend.
Yes. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Dr. Shiroko, owner of Heart to Heart Medical Center and the author of the book Healing When It Seems Impossible, which is right behind my head. And I'm here today with my friend, doctor, patient, Lynn Abaté-Johnson, and we're going to talk about Women's History Month because this is Women's Month, and which is so exciting that we have a month dedicated to women and their health. And she's written a book called Voices of the 21st Century. I would love to just learn a little bit more about what is in the book and what you have to say about it.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, Shiroko. I mean, I guess it makes sense that we're friends now after all of the years that you have been my doctor and you've seen me through so many changes in my life. And now here I am showing up as an author. And now I'm actually co-author of this book, Voices of the 21st Century, Women Empowered Through Passion and Purpose. And I'm really proud of this book. It's the first time I've been a co-author of a collection of stories. It's all nonfiction. There are 44 other authors in this book who have contributed stories of just transformation, breakthroughs, things in their lives, things in our lives that have happened, circumstances that we've actually overcome. So there's a really common theme throughout the book. And I'm proud because, first of all, I do love this cover. Isn't it amazing with the flaming red heart with the white flames?
Yeah.
And it's like a blue, purpley, starry background. I love it so much. And then my name and my publisher's name, Gail Watson, is on the cover. And the only way that you can get this one, it's not through Amazon, it's only through me. And then I will personalize it and sign it and send it out. So we have a little offer for you at the end about this. But I wrote a story in this book that I don't even know if I ever told you this story, Shiroko, about a time in my life that I was always too ashamed and embarrassed to talk about publicly. So I won't give it away now, but it is a little bit of a story of redemption and a lot of resilience, and something that now at this point in my life, I feel it's important to talk about things that we've never talked about before, because I believe that by smashing stigmas and therefore smashing things that maybe we thought were shameful, we can help connect ourselves with other people. And I think that connection is one thing that's missing in our world. And, what you practice in your office, including the acupuncture, is all about reconnecting are at a cellular level, right? And so I know that you really believe in this because this is what you practice every single day with your patients on a totally different level. And so I think that we need all of it. We need all of our voices to be showing up and showing up, every day. As some days we don't feel like showing up, and that's okay too.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I did read the story. I read your story, and it's so interesting how similar it is to one of my stories. I mean, my big story really of who I am today is what I love about the book is all of the stories that I've read, and I've only read about 10, but all of them have a story of a woman who went through something really difficult and painful and came out shining on the other side. And that became a life experience lesson, or a life story that helped transform her. And I think that's important for all of us as humans. And what I deal with for people with their health is to take the painful, difficult experiences of our lives and convert them into power, and to use them to help us grow, instead of having them knock us down and keep us down. And so that's what I love about all of the stories that I read. One of my favorites was the one about a ghost.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah. And I had to stop reading before I got late last night. And there was another one I was just starting that I wanted to see, but they're all really good stories, and they're short enough that you could read them, one at a time and just use them for your own empowerment. So that's one way to use them. What made you decide to do this book?
I actually have another book in the works that I want to do that is a little bit of a spin-off from my first book. And I know you know about this one, Out of Love, Daughter's Journey with Her Mom to the End. And an idea came out of this book about matriarchy. And what is matriarchy? My mom died. So am I the new matriarch because I'm the oldest girl? And so I discovered through that journey, and also through my whole kind of leadership journey all of these years, especially since my mom died in 2017, that there's a very different perspective on matriarchy today for me than there was when I was little and when I was growing up. And so my next book is going to feature many different voices and not just mine. So I wanted to do voices of the 21st century because it was the kind of book that I want to do next, where many voices and many very diverse voices culturally and everything else are represented in one book. So it was a great experience. I highly recommend it. I ended up joining the Women's Speakers Association last year, right after I got laid off, which was actually perfect timing because then I was able to say yes to this book, this next book. Mm-hmm. And then it just came out a few weeks ago, and it's also an international bestseller. And like you say, the stories are so unique and varied. And, 5 of the women are in Australia, 3 in Bermuda. There's a bunch of Canadians and Americans and people from all walks of life. So it's really been fun to get to know my sister authors, as we're calling ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's so nice. That's so nice. Do you want to talk a little bit more about matriarchy? I'm kind of curious. Like, what is it you're thinking about it? And what do you say about it? It hasn't been talked about in a long time.
Yeah. And I think that this next book is going to be very, very juicy in a way, because I think even the very subject of matriarchy is somewhat triggering for some people. People that I've already kind of talked about this to and asked questions. I have kind of a list of interview questions. And one very dear friend of ours that went to high school with Corey at Napa High, he had a lot to say about matriarchy, to the point where he actually was kind of emotional when he was just one night at dinner talking about his experience growing up. And then I've had other people kind of the same thing. I'm testing the waters with my interview questions before I really get into scheduling and doing the interviews, and then, of course, publishing the book. So, the bottom line for me, Shiroko, is that I failed as the new matriarch of the family. And it was an assumption, a cultural assumption that was kind of baked into my upbringing, that I would be the new matriarch. And that is not the case at all. And in fact, I'm kind of running away from that role and saying, yeah, no, not so much. Like, I don't want to be that, what I considered before. My mom's house was always the central location. Everyone gathered at my mom's house. Everyone had meals at my mom's house. My mom was the one that connected everyone together, all of her children, and then her, her children's partners, and then their children. And, I just discovered that was just too much for me. And I don't think I was very good at it. I think that I had so much concern for, other people's well-being and other people's welfare, that I was too close to be what I consider my role now to be, is more of an objective observer, somebody who's really focused here in my own leadership and not so much worried about what everybody else is up to and what everybody else is doing and how everybody else is living. And, all of that stuff that my mom, we used to joke that we were recovering control freaks. And so that's a part of it, that there's a part of matriarchy that another friend of mine said, she brought up words like controlling and domineering and, up in everybody's business. And then there are others who say, oh, well, I was raised by my grandmother, and and in the Mexican culture, that's huge. I have friends who they were raised by their abuelita and their aunties and who taught them how to cook and taught them how to care for themselves. So there are so many different layers and facets of this subject. And I'm up to redefining matriarchy. I'm redefining it for what it means today, because today we have so much more fluidity in our roles and so much more fluidity in our expectations. And so I want to find out from the people that I have on my list to interview, how did you view matriarchy when you were little? And now how do you view it? And how do those old roles and expectations come into play today? And the whole purpose of that next book is the same as my purpose for these two books, which is, let's talk about stuff. And you've always been a big proponent of this, with me, and you're the type of medical professional. I mean, you're an MD, and yet you're not the typical MD. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've always come to you and why I've always loved you so much, is that you ask questions that have to do with everyday life and what else is going on and what else is going on. Mm-hmm. And I know that your book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, is so much about that holistic approach. There it is. And that holistic approach and everything that we kind of do, from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep is just so critical. And, as a woman, I never really learned about rest. I never learned about sleeping well. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of a luxury. I saw the women in my family, they just never seemed to rest. And so now, like, I'm practicing this. I practice this with my sister. Sometimes I say, okay, we don't have to do everything today. Let's just maybe do one thing. When we're visiting and I'm staying at her house, it's like, okay, let's pick one thing and then let's just chill the rest of the time. And that was not how we were raised, and we were raised to just go, 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 go until what happens? You drop. Mm-hmm. And
I think another way to define matriarchy, in modern life, is to think about owning our own power, taking care of our own lives. Because what you're talking about with matriarchy is you're saying that the woman was the control freak and she ran all of the household things. But now, in modern times, at least in my life, I've never had a man support my life. I have always worked for myself, generated my own income, and created the life around me and created my community around me. And I think that is possibly a new way to look at what is matriarchy, or,
very much.
And it's about owning our power, but coming from our feminine selves at the same time as, not necessarily controlling every little element of the household, but to be in charge of our own lives on a bigger scale. Mm-hmm. And I know that, one of the things I like about you, from the day I met you, you have always been a positive voice, and you have always spoken from the positive side, no matter what was happening. And even when you had hard times, you turned it into something positive. And you'd come in to visit me and you made me feel better, so because you're such a powerfully positive force. So I know that your book will be an amazing success because you're running it. So
Thank you.
if anybody wants to buy it, here's the code for buying it right here. And Heart 10 is a 10% discount. And I would love for you to go look at the book and use it to help you feel empowered. And do you have any final words of wisdom for our audience?
I would just say, to kind of echo how you treat me, when we have a consultation, is just to remember to pause and take a breath. And I think that is one of the best tools that I've learned to cultivate over these years, and that we don't have to do. We are also human beings. And so be more than doing.
Right, right. I mean, I'm a doer myself, a recovering doer.
Yes.
and one of the chapters in my book is patience and persistence, and learning to listen to that divine timing. And that is an incredible challenge for many of us doers to like, wait, where's the time? When is the right time to do what you need to do? How do you put that out there? So
Yeah.
yes, divine timing.
Yes. Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so excited. And I hope that you all choose to buy this book and enjoy it. It is about claiming our power in a way from recovering from the stories that we have and turning them into our power, which I just love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.